I thought I would talk to you about hydrangeas, just the ones that I have on my property. I have panicles, I have smooth hydrangeas, Annabelles, and I'm going to show you the different bloom heads. I thought you might find that interesting. And like I said, only the ones that are actually on my property are the ones that I'm going to talk about. And I'll talk about the different types, new wood, old wood, when you can prune, when you don't want to prune. So let's talk hydrangeas. So I thought I'd show you a quick drone shot of the bulk of the backyard garden. Things are growing like crazy, but it's also, the dog days of summer, so things are struggling with the lack of water. So let's go into hydrangeas. So this is a great chart I got from Proven Winners website showing you if you're looking for color from hydrangeas through the whole season, the size and the different varieties and how they bloom, what their size is. And this is just for the paniculatas. So these are the ones that you can cut on new wood. So commonly called a PeeGee Hydrangea. They're probably the most culturally adaptable of all the hydrangeas. They tolerate any soil conditions except wet feet. Let's start by looking at Panicle hydrangeas. I have quite a few. I have Little Lime, Pinky Winky, Quickfire. I don't have Tardiva, but that's another very common one. And I have another called Pink Diamond. So we're going to go through those that I have. And take a look at the differences between them. Again, Panicle hydrangeas bloom on new wood, so you can cut them in the spring without worrying about cutting off blooms. So the paniculatas have a very long pyramid-shaped panicle, and that's what differentiates them from the Annabelles and the Macrophyllas. I thought you might find it interesting to see the different Panicle hydrangeas all lined up in a row. So over here we have Pink Diamond, then we have Pinky Winky, then we have Quickfire, Little Lime, Bobo, and then Firelight Tidbit right there. So you can see kind of the different shapes. There's Pink Diamond, close up, Pinky Winky. These are all going to turn that pink and as the fall goes on. They'll get pinker and pinker. Quickfire, a little bit different size. Little Lime. These are just the hydrangeas that I have on my property that are panicles. Bobo, and then Firelight Tidbit. Hopefully you'll find that interesting. Hopefully my feet are not in the picture. Hopefully you'll find that interesting. I thought while all the hydrangeas are now blooming, I believe, on my property at this point, except for, well, maybe the oak leaf is too. I thought I would just go through them and show you and then talk about each one of them. So this is Pink Diamond, beautiful Panicle hydrangea. You can see how big this is. I definitely have it limbed up into a tree form. Last year I did a lot of maintenance on it to cut it back, but I've had it for a very, very long time, believe it or not. I've even transplanted it from a previous property. So this is Pink Diamond. So I've had this shrub now for a very long time. So let's start with the Panicle hydrangeas. This is a panicle. Zone 3 through 8 can get 15 feet tall and 15 feet wide, blooms July to September. Starts out white, matures to a pink, really pretty, likes well-drained soil and full sun. It's a deciduous shrub, as all Panicle hydrangeas are. It has a cone-shaped panicle that I showed you already. And it has a very nice, strong, stiff stem, which is really great. So it's good for fresh arrangements or for drying. And like I said, it blooms July through September. And it is very winter hardy. It blooms on current season's growth, so you can prune it as late as you need to in late winter to early spring, and not worry about cutting off blooms like the bloomstruck type hydrangeas. As we move down the bed, we get to Firelight Tidbit. And I have 3 of them right here. Zone 3 through 8, another panicle, so blooms on new wood, which makes it really easy to maintain. And Firelight Tidbit can get, well, like 3 feet tall, 4 feet wide. So this is a new one for me. It's got really pretty white panicles that are already turning pink. I have 3 of them. You can see another one over there. And, well, actually I have 4 of them. This is so large that it's way bigger than Firelight Tidbit should be, and I'm almost wondering if the tag was wrong on these. But it's a really beautiful Panicle hydrangea, Firelight Tidbit. So just in the couple days since I started recording this video with all these, look at how much color Firelight Tidbit has put on. Like I said, I have 4 of them, and it's just one after another. The color is just insane. So typically, it is really good for a smaller space because it's smaller than a lot of the other hydrangeas here. You can see it in my other locations. It gets a beautiful shade of dark pink in the fall. So here's the 4th one, which is normal size, but this is only the 2nd year I've had it. So I am expecting it to get larger, but it doesn't get as much sun as the other 3. So we'll just have to see what works best. Here we have Bobo hydrangea. This is a nice, small Panicle hydrangea. Again, you can see the really pretty panicles here. This is just starting to bloom, so we have still some new growth, and then a few that are opened. Bobo. So Bobo really has some really large blooms on nice strong stems. It's a compact hydrangea. Again, zones 3 through 8. Gets about 3 feet tall, 4 feet wide, like sun to part sun. A really pretty panicle on this. I really like this. A very pretty white, and like I said, great for smaller areas. And of course, it'll change to pink in the fall. These beauties are Pinky Winky. And, oh gosh, another giant weed. And they're also already starting to turn pink. They're gigantic. I have another one that's also really large. So I think, let me go back. You can get a good scale of how big these are. I have them right next to Viburnum mariaci over here. But these are very large shrubs. So plan accordingly when you put these kinds of things in. This is Pinky Winky. So Pinky Winky is another Proven Winners hydrangea, Panicle hydrangea, zone 3 through 8. Gets typically like 8 feet tall and 8 feet wide. Blooms on new growth. Can handle, wet soil or likes well-drained soil, sorry. Has a huge flower that turns pink with a really cool two-toned effect almost. The stems are very hardy. It's again a very winter hardy hydrangea. So again, it blooms on new growth. Prune it in the late winter if you have to, but try not to put these things where they don't really need to be pruned. And it's got a very stiff stem, which is really nice, so it holds it without drooping. And again, you can cut it for fresh or dried flowers, which is really nice. Very adaptable. As you can see right here, mine are already starting to put on that luscious color for the fall with that pretty two-toned panicle. And here it is in all its fall gorgeousness. Look at that color. This is Quickfire, probably my favorite. I have 3 large ones here. You can see the panicles clearly. They start out white and they quickly fade to this pink, and they'll get even darker than this, and they'll be great all fall. Quickfire. I know there's some new ones, Little Quickfire, I think, Quickfire, Fab, things that stay a little smaller than this. This is a very hardy shrub, and it's a very early flowering bloom hydrangea, Panicle hydrangea. with the really pretty white blooms, turns pink as the summer progresses, gets darker and darker pink as time goes on. And again, blooms on new wood. You know, I'm getting kind of repetitive. Quickfire can get 8 by 8. So again, I have these in a place where I really don't need to cut them. I know there are some new ones that are a little bit smaller. So if you like the look of this, a little bit different panicle than the ones we were just looking at. It's not quite as large. And the nice part is it's a repeat bloom, so it'll keep blooming all till fall, which is really nice. Can use it in borders, containers. You can use it like as a hedge. Really, really lovely. Makes a nice cut flower. And like I said, it's really one of my favorites. Again, of course, it's a deciduous shrub, zones 3 through 8. Blooms June all the way till September, and gets that really nice dark panicle, reddish, pinky purple panicle.
And then we have a couple of little limes here. Again, there are some varieties that stay smaller. Limelight, of course, gets very big. Little lime is a little smaller, and I think there are a couple other new ones, and I'll check that out and I'll tell you that I don't have those though. So this is little lime. Not so little. give it room to spread, and you'll be pretty happy. I've got anemones that have just sort of taken over this bed in and around them, and I keep pulling them out to no avail. Sometimes I think you just have to give up and let Mother Nature do what she wants.
So one of the really lovely things about little lime is that it's got beautiful jade green blooms, and they age to a really pretty red as the fall marches on. It's perfect for containers and small spaces. A smaller one is Limelight Prime, I believe, which gets like 5 by 5, so it's a little bit smaller. And one of the things you often see Limelight is often seen as a tree standard. So that's always an option for you. If you don't have, a garden area, you could put it in a container. Standard trees go really well in nice large containers. You can keep them on your porch. So next up, let's talk about the smooth hydrangea or hydrangea arborescence. I'm sure you're familiar with the Annabelle hydrangea. I don't have any. They bloom on new wood again. So this is a different category. They have a very strongly serrated dark green leaf. It doesn't usually get a fall color, but the bloom heads, like on Annabelle, can be huge. In the past, it's had an issue with flopping, so there are lots of newer varieties, and there are now some pink varieties also. So I'm going to show you the different ones that I have on my property.
This is Invincibelle limetta. This one has kind of finished blooming here. It's still going a little bit, but it's all pretty much done. This is very new, so it's very small.
Invincibelle limetta is basically a dwarf Annabelle type. It has beautiful little green flowers, sturdy stems, and it's a rebloomer, which is also really nice. So, it's very reliable, like the classic Annabelle hydrangea, but has some really big improvements, like strong stems that hold the blooms upright all season, which is nice, so they're not flopping over, and a nice dwarf rounded habit. So it's a perfect plant that you can put really anywhere in your garden. It has lime green flowers that lighten to a very soft green white, and then they turn like a jade green for the the fall season. They go right through frost. Deadheading is not necessary. It's a continuous bloom rebloomer, part sun to sun. Blooms on new wood, which is nice. Prefers a minimum of like 6 hours of sun. So think about that when you're planning where you're putting these hydrangeas. That gives it the strongest stems and the most abundant flowers. If you have to prune it for whatever reason, prune any dead wood or anything like that in the early spring, just as growth begins to emerge on the stems. And like I said, remove any dead wood, obviously, at any time. And if it gets too big, which it shouldn't because it's very small, you can cut it back by a third. I mean, it really only gets maybe 3 by 3. So that's Invincibelle Limetta. And I have 2 new this season, so we'll see how those do.
The lighting's not too great here because it's underneath this river birch. This is Invincibelle Mini Mauvette and a really beautiful pink flower. Hope you can see that. Really pretty. And I have it here. It gets sun to part shade, mostly part shade. But it seems to be growing okay underneath this river birch. Invincibelle Mini Mauvette.
So another reblooming arborescence, a whole brand new color for the Annabelle type hydrangeas with the really beautiful like pinky purple blooms on nice sturdy stems, blooms summer through frost, zones 3 through 9. Again, like basically the same, 3 by 3. You can prune it if you have to, late winter, early spring, and again, it blooms on new wood. So another one of the hydrangea arborescens, or smooth hydrangeas as they're known. And again, this is a reblooming shrub. So just a really pretty addition to the basic Annabelle type hydrangea with this pretty new color.
Here we have Wee White. These are new for me. I have 2 of them. This one here, and I have this one here. They're now in the shade, but they were full sun all morning. Really lovely lime green color, sort of almost like a little lime. This is Wee White.
So this is another dwarf Annabelle type hydrangea. It blooms all summer with a really pretty little white flowers. They start out with that jade green kind of color, and they get whiter as the summer goes on. Zones 3 through 9, 3 by 3. You could prune late winter, early spring, and it blooms on new wood, so no deadheading is necessary. Next up, let's talk about Invincibelle Spirit 2, another hydrangea arborescens, smooth hydrangea. I planted 2 this year. The voles destroyed one of them. The other one is struggling, so I'm not even going to bother showing you a picture of it. But this is a unique hydrangea. Proven Winners has donated over $1 million for the Breast Cancer Research Foundation from the sale of this plant. So this is a great plant for you to consider for your garden. Invincibelle Spirit 2 has beautiful, dark, rich pink flowers on nice, strong stems that bloom from midsummer all the way to frost. Zones 3 through 8, gets like 4 by 4, adaptable to most well-drained soils. Again, it's also a reblooming hydrangea. And I'm really looking forward to this. I really hope both of mine survive, and that maybe next year will be better than this year when it comes to voles and rabbits and chipmunks. Oh my goodness, oh my. So next, let's talk about the Serratas, the mountain hydrangeas, the lace caps.
This is a reblooming hydrangea, mountain Serrata, Serrata hydrangea, called Tough Stuff. And it's got a really pretty lace cap. The pollinators love it, of course. I've got 6 of them, 3 in this bed and 3 in my bed on the other side over here. You can cut them back to a new, like if this had just bloomed, I could cut this back to this intersection, and you would get more blooms. So you can deadhead them if you want. Sometimes it just gets a little bit overwhelming. So you do what you can. Beautiful, Tough Stuff hydrangeas. This is a mountain Serrata lace cap.
So this is your classic lace cap, full double head. It is dependent on soil pH for whether it's pink or purple. Mine are a little bit of both this year. I have 6 of them. The flower heads are really nice and big heart-shaped leaves, blooms all summer. The leaves turn like a magenta burgundy in the fall. It's like 3 by 3 or 3 by 4, whatever. It seldom needs any pruning. Zones 5 through 9. This is a really pretty lace cap hydrangea called Tough Stuff. So next, let's talk about the oak leaf hydrangea, probably one of the most beautiful hydrangeas. If you can plant only one, this is the one I suggest. They have a beautiful rounded shape, the shrubs with gorgeous white flowers. The leaves are dark green oak-shaped leaf that can be up to like 8 inches long and wide. They turn the most gorgeous, rich red burgundy in the fall. The panicles are nice and big. Flowers do form on previous year's growth, so you have to make sure that you prune this right after it flowers. But it has beautiful bark also that peels off. It's like a papery light brown, cinnamon brown color. Does best in full sun to partial shade. It's great in mass plantings. I have 3 giant ones together. Makes a really nice back of the border. And there are different cultivars that are available. I have Alice, so that's the one I'm going to talk to you about right now.
This hydrangea is an oak leaf hydrangea. The name is Alice. I wish it had more flowers on it. But the leaf, you can see, is this beautiful, beautiful shape. Beautiful oak leaf shape. It turns the most gorgeous shade of red in the fall. I don't even plant it for the flowers. I plant it for the foliage because it is just gorgeous. I have Cedarmodum joy over here. I have candy corn spireas, which are a great fall shrub. I'll talk about fall shrubs in another video. But this is oak leaf hydrangea. This is Alice. But there are many different varieties, some that don't get this large.
Then there are other ones like Snowflake, which has a gorgeous double flower. I've seen it before in some gardens. It's really just beautiful, beautiful one. But look at the gorgeous fall color on these leaves. Alice can get 8 feet by 8 feet, maybe even bigger. It's got a white panicle that fades to that pink. It's a great hedge. Again, I know I can't say it enough. It blooms on old wood. I've made this mistake. Be very careful when you're pruning it. Very little pruning is actually necessary. So be judicious when you start with the clippers. Next up, let's talk about the big leaf hydrangeas, the hydrangea Macrophylla. So these come in 2 different forms. You can either have lace caps or you can have the mop heads. And it just depends. They definitely flower on old wood, so do not prune them until they have flowered. They can take sun or partial shade, and they do require a fair amount of moisture. Otherwise, you'll find they really wilt in the late afternoon. They do recover. They are blue in acid soils and pink in high pH soils. So I have the Bloomstruck Endless Summer series. I think I have 4 or 5 of them. Some years they grow better than others. This year not so good. Last year even better. So let's take a look at Endless Summer Bloomstruck.
I do have several Bloomstruck hydrangeas, Macrophyllas with the pretty purple blossoms. This one is kind of getting massive at this point, but I have a few of them here. I have some Hakanakloa over here. I've got some grass and Coringa shoma, as well as French pussy willows right here, along with some Aruncus. Lots of hostas go in here. Lady's mantle. I have a few Bloomstrucks back there. Some doing better than others. We had a little issue with the watering.
So that's bloomstruck. So it really prefers part shade, and it does like some moisture, and it can get 4 feet tall by about 5 feet wide. Obviously, it's a deciduous shrub. pH, the bloom color is definitely pH dependent. So if you need to do any trimming, do it right after it blooms. You can always prune out weak or winter damaged stems in the late winter, early spring, but even in the spring, wait to start cutting until you see what's dead and what's not. As far as using them for cut flowers, when I cut them, I vertically cut the bottom of the stem after I've cut it on an angle. I dip it in some alum, which you can find in the baking aisle. Dip it in there and then put it in your container. I find that makes the vase life much longer, and for the most part, they do pretty well. You do want to cut them when they're open. I find when I cut them and too early, they just flop. So the Endless Summer series is a remondant momped, which means that the plants will continue to produce flowers on new growth. So to maintain that, keep fertilizing, maintain your watering to encourage new blooms.
So you can see right here, and back over there, I have 3 reblooming big leaf hydrangeas called Let's Dance Big Band. And let me just read you this stuff. These are pretty new for me. Zones 5 through 9. Sun to part shade, reblooming, petite shrub, 2.5 feet tall and wide, moist, well-drained soil, seldom needs pruning, and you can prune it after it flowers. So here's an example of a gorgeous flower. Oh my gosh, is that beautiful or what? And then I've got another one back there. Let's see if I can get back there. Let's see, there we go. So I've got 3 Let's Dance Big Bands.
So these have really extra large, very reliable mop head blooms, and they can be blue or pink, and it's just going to depend on the soil. So I guess I'm going to have to wait and see if I really was hoping they'd be purple, so I might have to do some amending, but we'll see. But it'll keep reblooming all season, and it's a nice petite shrub. This watering's been a challenge, I'll be the first to say. Again, it's been so dry that I'm constantly watering, trying to keep these going. So I'm just hoping they survive this year. So hopefully next year will be a better year. Again, zones 5 through 9, and this is Let's Dance Big Band. So these I have are new, so they're not blooming. So I'm just going to show you pictures of some of my new ones. Let's Dance Blue Jangles is a reblooming hydrangea also. A nice petite shrub, gets like 2 feet tall, zone 5 through 9. It blooms on both old and new wood. So this big leaf hydrangea, same thing, is blue in acid soils, and in alkaline soils they'll be pink. So it's a really nice, compact, reblooming hydrangea. Typically supposed to have more flowers and large flowers. So continuous bloom and a rebloomer. Gets about 2 feet tall, part sun to sun, and would make a really nice border plant. Good cut flower, good dried flower. Ideally, you don't want to prune this. So in the spring, of course, remove any dead wood, put a nice big layer of shredded bark mulch around it to keep the shallow roots from drying out. So this is Let's Dance Blue Jangles, and I have one of these that I've put in. So another hydrangea Macrophylla. Did you know hydrangeas are the most researched plant online? More and more varieties are coming out as growers try to get more and hardier varieties, showier varieties every single year. Versatility with sun and shade and bolder blooms. Every grower is looking for the best new thing. So I am totally in love with the City Line series of hydrangeas from Proven Winners. I first saw these when I was on Martha's Vineyard. I think it was last year, and these big leaf hydrangeas bloom on old wood, which means they set their flowers for next summer. You know, this year for next year, but they also bloom are rebloomers, so they bloom on new wood also, so they have new growth as the season progresses, which is really nice. They have really broad, thick, textured foliage, which I just love. So there are a few different series that are available for the big leaf hydrangeas from Proven Winners. The Let's Dance series, which I just showed you, the one I have, the City Line series. This is City Line Mars that I have. And Wee Bit Grumpy, or Wee Bit series, and I have Wee Bit Grumpy that I'll show you. So this one, I actually cut a few weeks ago, a cut flower. And I'm telling you, I actually thought it was almost dry. It lasted so long in the vase, I like kept checking it and was like, what is with this thing? I love this new series. So City Line Mars has this really beautiful variegated mophead flower that changes, from that deep indigo blue to a magenta pink, long-lasting blooms, age to a really pretty green as they age. I also have, this is a dwarf plant also, but I also have City Line Venice that I got. And all the qualifications or whatever qualities are the same. It blooms on old wood. These particular ones bloom on, City Line blooms on old wood, zones 5 through 9. This has that really fabulous summer color. I mean, look at that color. I mean, it's gorgeous with glossy leaves. I'm really looking forward to these growing, and I can't wait to see them next year. So next up is the Wee Bit series. I have Wee Bit Grumpy, and it's got that really intense saturated flower color, that deep purple blue with the big leaves. Oh, I can't wait for this to really get going. So it blooms on both new and old wood, part sun to sun, about 2 feet tall, and it has the really deep purple blue blossom bloom, continuous bloom and a rebloomer. Great versatile garden plant, zones 5 through 9, and has that nice mounded compact foliage look, which is really nice. You can use it anywhere, but with this really intense saturated color. This is a very reliable hydrangea that you can really count on for lots of blooms through the season. And last but not least, the climbing hydrangea. I do have one. I've got to say, mine has never performed very well. If you live in this area, White Flower Farm has the most gorgeous climbing hydrangea I've ever seen, actually. There, and also Hollister House in Washington, Connecticut has a fabulous one. So the climbing hydrangea is a true clinging vine, and it really cements itself to any structure. The bark exfoliates as the vine gets woody. It can take sun or shade, and it can get to be like 60 or 80 feet high, zones 4 through 8. And there are a variety of different cultivars. I have petiolaris. So I'm not sure why mine doesn't bloom, because it likes part shade to full shade, and that's where I have it growing up a beautiful maple tree. It does get a fragrant white flower with a very flat top kind of cluster. It can be like up to 8 inches wide, and it blooms in late spring to early summer, that kind of lace cap configuration, creamy white to a greenish yellow. I really don't know what the problem is with mine. I had to move it once, but it's been in its spot for now a long time. But it's a beautiful, beautiful vine, beautiful winter interest. And zones 4 through 8. So here's my climbing hydrangea.
That just doesn't bloom. I think it doesn't get enough sunlight because it's certainly growing enough, but it just doesn't seem to get any flowers, which I don't really understand. But ours is not to question why.
As always, thanks for watching. Let's talk more about hydrangeas. If you have more questions, if you have any questions, let me know. Let me know which ones are your favorites. What do you have on your property? What have you had good luck with? What have you not had good luck with? As always, subscribe, hit that like button. It really does make a difference. You can follow me on Instagram, on Facebook. Also, I'm just about to go to Italy for like the 7th time. I'll be the first to say I'm kind of spoiled. If you'd be interested in my shooting some video while I'm over there, total departure, of course, from gardening. I've been to Italy quite a few times. If you might be interested, drop a note in the comments and let me know, and I'll do some videos. I always do blogs when I go to Italy, so you can always find blogs on both gardening and on Italy and other gardening information on my website, lindsaydesigns.com. Take care. Have a good day.